Hi everyone. Okay, this is the woven wrap, front inward facing carry. This is the most commonly used wrap for this type of wrap, for the most common carry for this type of wrap. Anyway, start off with your material by finding the center point, which is usually denoted by a tag or a marking of some kind, and then hold that center point across the center of your body. Then what you need to keep hold of is we're going to call this top edge the top rail, and obviously the bottom edge will be called the bottom rail. So keeping hold of the top rail, cross it over behind your back. Let's say keep hold of, just step through it to get the material through. Still holding on to that top rail and keeping everything nice and straight. Bring it over your shoulders and round to the front. So it looks something like this. Next thing to do is just to gather up the bottom, because obviously we just want that material, want the baby to be supported. This is demonstrating with the newborn demo doll, so we want the baby to be supported fairly high on your chest. And you'll notice the first thing that happens is I've got it nice and snug across the top, and now it's slack across the bottom. So this sort of also identifies, first of all, we need to remove that slack, but also this is great to demonstrate just how the wrap kind of works. So essentially, because it's a woven wrap, whichever side you pull on, it will tighten. So this is the bottom rail of my wrap. These are the bottom rails of my wrap. If I just pull and tighten those, you see that we start to get rid of some of that slack. Equally, if it was slack at the top, I pull the top rails, slack in the centre, can pull the centre a bit, and that just makes sure that all of the wrap is nice and snug. It's really important that there are no twists or rooks in the material. It's important and predominantly really for comfort. But it also helps as well in tightening, that when you're moving the slack and getting rid of the slack, that you know you can follow that top rail in different sections of the wrap round. Anyway, next you're ready for the baby. So let's just create a little bit of room for the baby. So I'll get my newborn baby. Hello, baby. And rest the baby on one of your shoulders. And we want to position both feet through this central part of the carrier. So reach through the central part of the carrier, holding gently onto both feet. Gently lower the baby into position. And you'll notice that the material is sitting from knee pit to knee pit. So we want to create a seat for the baby. Okay, once we've identified that, we can sit the baby securely. That same material going from knee pit to knee pit. Still sort of supporting the baby. The baby can now the wrap can take a lot of the baby's weight. Then find again your top rail on this piece of material and gently and smoothly pull it up the baby's back, keeping it even. Because this is a newborn baby, we're going to go right the back of the head and then just gently tuck that material down. What that does essentially is it just gives really good neck support. So next thing that we've got to do now is obviously secure the baby into place and then remove any further slack. There are a number of ways of doing this, but essentially we'll do each side in turn. So take hold of your material as evenly as is possible and take it off your shoulder, which just takes out the friction. Give it a sort of a firm but not pulling motion, and then you'll sort of realise then that you'll feel that everything sort of tightens up. Secure that down underneath baby's bottom and repeat exactly the same on the other side. Notice how I'm sort of pulling that material securely over my shoulder, up onto my shoulder as well. It just means that you can get rid of even more slack. So again, move the material back off your shoulder to remove friction. You can do a little bit of shrugging around just to help the material move over your back, and then securely and snugly bring it down under baby's bottom. So now it looks something like this, and I'm starting to have sort of more of a secure hold of the baby. If you find that there's a little bit of slack still in the top here, you can then do as before. So this time top rail, so we'll go with the top rail on here, just tighten that section and make sure that you keep hold of that tension. Same on the other side, so just the top rail, and pull that tension all the way down. Once I'm happy that I have a snug content baby here, then it's about tying it off. So I want this material, like the part of material that goes across the front, I want these sections to go right under and support the baby by the knee pit, and then follow through, so with this material tucking it really quite close in, and then it actually goes underneath the second leg. So it's going knee pit on the first leg and then underneath the second leg. So now you can see that my baby is fully supported. I no longer need to hold on to support them, and then it's just a simple case of tying off. So tie it securely in a double knot. I like to use my elbow just to get a bit of tension, especially if you've got a stiffer material. And there we go. Last thing that we do is to check positioning of the baby. So is the baby held securely in the carrier? Yeah. Is the neck and head supported? Is a nice smooth material down the back? Do I have a really good deep seat with the knees either in line with the hips or higher? Now I could do with a slightly better seat here. So one of the ways that you can just encourage that better seat is just tuck your baby's bottom and that material deep into the knee pits of the baby. So see how that improved that seat? So I've got a much, much deeper seat now for my baby. And that just means it's a lot more comfortable for them, and just means that they are held in the optimal position. So smooth, I've got material knee pit to knee pit. Because this is a newborn baby, I'm going to pay extra attention to airways, but the baby's chin is off the chest, the hands are up by the chin, and there's nothing over the face of the baby. Obviously if my baby falls asleep and I wanted a little bit of additional support, whichever way that the baby's head sort of falls, you can use parts of material if you wish to sort of snug around the baby. The best bit, rather than using the top rail to sort of enclose over the baby's head, it's best actually to use the bottom rail, because that's not doing the majority of the supporting there. So you can just sort of pull that over, tuck it over the bottom as well, and it just means that it can just create a little bit extra head support on the baby. If you're finding as well that it's starting to pull on your neck at all, there are a few little sort of little tips and tricks just to help with comfort for you. So I'll show you on this other shoulder. You start off by pulling the material right down off your shoulder and away from your neck, because there's sometimes the closer to your neck that it is, that it can cause just discomfort eventually. So pull the material off, and then because it's now in my way, you can flip it back onto itself. So it just takes the material out of the way, and you can obviously do that on both shoulders. It just means it's more comfortable. Anyway, essentially that's it. So I've got a very secure, happy, safe baby. Thank you.